What's up guys, hope everyone is doing well. In this video I'm going to be going over some updates for just Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and get it started here. First thing we see is this 4-hour chart. I had been recently going over this chart with a symmetrical triangle where these two recent lows right here in this region were dipping below the support, representing a form of a fake out. But the other night, which I'll get to the chart where I first saw this, I noticed a pretty textbook bull flag, and there's this median line right here that lines up with where the 200 estimated moving average is, sitting at approximately 65.2, 65.3. I said in the last video that the range from around 66.5 to around 67.5, so exactly where Bitcoin was recently just locally rejected, was saying it was very important that along with moving this daily chart, we get this MACD bullish flip as we deviated just a tiny bit below this approximately 15-month range down here on the MACD that has acted or correlated to every single major bounce so far since the uptrend, with Bitcoin bottoming out at 15.4 thousand approximately. So far we did get rejected there. That bullish flip is still looking quite promising. The Bollinger Bands paired with this are quite converged at this point, and the MACD appears to be coiling back up as well. Whether or not that'll continue to play out, or if it'll just come down and maybe set another low within this range, and then ultimately it's just moving up. But really both of those scenarios. But that still stands, still going to be very important to get above this 200 EMA, and like I said, 66.5 to 67.5. And then right now the support for, depending upon when the breakout occurs, around 70.5.7 thousand dollars, just approximately somewhere around the range 70 to 71,000. 71,000 definitely being important to see the price get back above. If you look at here at this daily with this ascending broadening channel I've been updating for quite some time, you can see that if Bitcoin gets a bounce here, then it will find a bounce just nicely right on top of the support. Now we can also see the bull flag right here as well that I added. It was also showing the symmetrical triangle here, but don't think that that's what is here anymore. Rather than seeing some sort of a pennant or symmetrical flag, bull flag, I think we are seeing more of a textbook, like the most common and one of the best bull flags in terms of having a higher percentage likelihood of breaking towards the upside and being an actual bull flag at the end of the day. So finding support here would be great and continue to bounce up. As I was saying, before I locally rejected right here from around 66.5 to 67.5, it's also what lines up with, we see this horizontal dotted line going all the way back. This is the highest daily candle close of the last bull market at $67,327. So that's clearly definitely important. Again, just to reiterate the importance of that. We can also see Bitcoin got this green moving average here, the 5 estimated moving average, has dipped below the 50 EMA, the turquoise right here, estimated moving average twice, and the 13 estimated moving average, the red one, just last 36 hours roughly, it's crossed below. Last time we saw this, something similar, we don't have the 5 EMA did not have this kind of double bottom scenario, but once the red or the 13 EMA crossed below, that basically it literally lined up with the local low candle close right here of around 39.5. So, which, like I said, Bitcoin's already seen that, and it saw it with this most recent local low within this specific downswing. Obviously this back here is the lowest of this, so I think that's also giving potential that Bitcoin will slowly going to trade over here. It will find support also along the support of the ascending broadening channel and continue to move up, but still it's pivotal that we see this MACD will continue to move up And then what's most important is getting back above that 66 to 66.5 to 67.5, and then breaking above ideally 71,000. And then obviously if we do continue to, Bitcoin continues to go up here, then breaking up, retesting the resistance, and then continuing to go towards what the price target is. So this is the daily chart. This is what I found it on one night, and to the left I have just a classic model, a very textbook bull flag, and then on the right, let's make it a little bit bigger. We can see a real world asset. This is American Electric Power Company. We see this model bull flag. It's basically literally what is on here. We see a 6-stage move. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 being the bottom, and then continuing to move up. But before I get on with this chart and mention the price target, as I mentioned, 6-stage move, 6-stage move, and for those of you who saw, I think it was the last video that I went over this parabolic curve chart leading into the all-time high, which I think approximately 230,000 at highest is what is most reasonable. Each of these bounces in this parabolic curve leading up to that all-time high, and what I mentioned is so far we've seen these impulses. We see up here to 44,000, approximately 45,000. We see, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you see a 6-stage move, and then the price has another large impulse. We see some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. We're leading into 6. Whether or not we continue to go a little bit lower down to around 59. So far, Bitcoin's wicked down to 59.6. But on this 3-day chart, it has not gotten candle closes closer or at that value, or within a rough few $100 range of that value. So it definitely still could continue to go a little bit lower here in the short term, but ultimately I do think that this bull flag, I mean, it's not 100%, but it's with this parabolic curve, as I mentioned, in each of these 6 stages, we had a very important news-based event. We have the approval of the Bitcoin ETFs, we have the 4th Bitcoin halving. So many things lining up to me is just really hard to especially lean more towards the fact that Bitcoin's going to go down to that 56 or 57 or $50 to $53,000 range as a healthy correction that I've also been talking about as possibility in the last number of videos. So for the price target, this is a more conservative one on the breakout, taking it up to, on this daily chart, I have another one that I'll go over here in a moment, but this price target takes it all the way up to, at highest, $125,712. I quickly take another one, which is a little less conservative. It's from the wick low to the wick high. This one's going to be around 132,000, so 125 to 132,000. In general, I would say 100 to 130,000, which actually lines up with the rough 90 to $130,000 range that I had been giving in past videos. That was before I even saw this, so that again is just, to me, there's so many things stacking on top of each other right now that I just really am having a hard time seeing or believing that, as I just said a few moments ago, that Bitcoin is more likely to break down to those lower price targets as I've been mentioning. Looking here at this 4-day chart, like I said on here, mentioning out this horizontal line at the highest daily close. Again, we can just see it more clearly on the 4-day chart, higher time frame. We have a zone. We had this double top set from 64 to 69,000 during the last bull market, and so far Bitcoin has come up. It's set new all-time highs, local all-time highs, because I do think Bitcoin has a lot more. We haven't even seen, I don't think Bitcoin has not seen the most parabolic move of its bull markets yet. I think that's the next impulse is going to be the most parabolic impulse that the current bull market is going to see heading up to it. In best case scenario, and in all hopes, around $230,000 at highest. So I think it's also, again, another perfect reason to see a bullish retest here and to see this be validated. We zoom in, looking at the estimated moving averages once more, mainly the 13, the red one. We see that price closed 2 candles below it, and then eventually it continued back towards the upside. So far, 3 candles are closed below it, but the idea is just really don't deviate much from the 13 EMA. Few candle closes, and then it ends up going to the top. The 5 EMA did not cross below the red right here. but it got closest to doing that just after the local low had been set in. We can see that the 5 EMA is close to crossing below it. It's also, again, lining up with what I think is an area in price that is highly likely to present a local low and then leading into a next impulse within the next month, within the next 2 weeks to 4 weeks. But I mean, it also could happen. We could see a break above 71,000 within the next 7 days. I think is likely, but definitely within the next month, I think it is going to happen. Whether or not it breaks towards the upside or if it breaks to the downside. Lastly, again, like I was saying, I think we're heading into the most parabolic impulse of the bull market. If we go back to the prior, so we look at this giant W right here that characterizes the phase 1 of Bitcoin's cycles. We see that right here, whenever Bitcoin got back up to the all-time highs, after this was the point where we saw the most parabolic. We saw large percentage gains in the shortest amount of time. It was relatively comparable to this one, but this one took longer. The candles also weren't as they didn't have as much volume associated with them as well. And then after this impulse, this is when Bitcoin started to die off and it started to stagger, started to round out, and then set a top. If we go back to this bull market and bear market and bull market, this being phase 2 of cycle 1, we see again the same thing. See the all-time high zone. Bitcoin pushes up to it, rejection, pushes above it, comes back down, finds support. Somewhat similar to what we're doing now, or what I think is most likely to happen now. And then afterwards on that, we see this wasn't the most impulsive move of this bull market, but it was the second most impulsive move, which I still think is important to highlight. This one right here, and then clearly this one right here was far more impulsive than this first one. It did take a little bit longer in duration, but it definitely was more impulsive. And overall, that's really not that big of a deal because this is, like I said, this is phase 2 of cycle 1, and we're in phase 1 of cycle 3. Or if I said phase 2 of cycle 1, I meant to say phase 2 of cycle 2, and we're in cycle 1 of phase 3. So this is actually basically, for those of you familiar with my theory, this right here, this bull market is essentially exactly what we're seeing right here. It is just taking longer to play out, and also the gains are not going to be as much as they were in the past due to the decayed growth of Bitcoin over time, and the fact that I do think that it is a fact that Bitcoin will, over even longer periods of time than the 15 years that it's been out so far, will continue to see lengthening of phases and cycles, and also the less severe in terms of the percentage drawdown bear markets, and also less bullish percentage moves towards the upside and during the bull markets. Lastly, I just wanted to go over this monthly chart, pointing out this fib channel right here. It also, again, corresponds to and supports the all-time high around 230,000 sometime around August of this year. Just wanted to point out how we can see back in November 2020, this is when Bitcoin closed above on the monthly, above the 382 of this channel, this ascending channel. Last candle did that, and this candle that we're currently on, I think, is more likely than not to also close above it. So again, it's pointing that out is further emphasis that we are kind of comparable to when Bitcoin is coming back up to the all-time high around the candle close around 13,000 back in November 2020. Then after that, the most impulsive move of that bull market then ensued. And I would also point out that you can see that this mid top right here, June, July 2019, around $10,000, $9,000. Clearly closed above the 382 as well, but it wasn't encroaching the all-time highs. So it's far more comparable to where we are now here to right here back in November 2020 rather than this mid top, because Bitcoin is at the all-time highs just as it was in November of 2020. Other than that, I believe that was everything that I wanted to go over, although I might end up splicing something in because I feel like I am forgetting something. But anyways, all that being said, hopefully you enjoyed. As always, this is not meant to be financial advice, but everything said, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Alright, I thought I was forgetting something, and I definitely was. So, as I've been saying in past videos, the most recent updates that I think, and I would have said a few moments before I'm splicing this in the video, that with my most recent updates, that I think Bitcoin's going to top out somewhere around generally just August, give or take a month. Specifically, a date was given. Not that I think it will top out on this date. I mean, it could happen, but it's it's a pretty very specific and pinpointed projection, so I don't really want to go that far. But August 26th was a specific date that was given when I was doing the measurements and things like that, according to my theory. But there's also this guy, Neste XBT or Niste. He says this fractal is also, he's saying that, suggesting that Bitcoin could top out as early as August, just around August. Although I tried to replicate what he's showing here in this picture, and I couldn't do it when because these one thing I don't really understand is if you go to the charts and you go from each of these three bottoms right here, it's basically we have right here the final bottom in the 14 and 15 bear market, and then this has been the March crash bottom. This is right here would have been recently the most recent bear market bottom at approximately 15.4 thousand. This bull market from in 2017 is drastically longer than this one, the second one, leading into 64,000, and also our current one. So took many fractal patterns. I tried various different things to replicate this. So I actually honestly have no idea how he's doing this. Unless he is, I mean, he would be like scrunching up or extending one of the fractals, but if he is doing that, that's obviously like not how it works. But anyways, I just did want to mention this because however he's getting to this, he is coming to the same conclusion as a possibility as I am in my analysis. So I just thought that was interesting. But anyways, I'll see you guys later.